Hi everyone, welcome back to the Spring Garden series. We're growing our spring vegetable gardens together in a quick, simple, inexpensive way, and we're gonna have a ton of fun doing it. Well, I'm excited about today's video because I'm gonna share with you how to get your seeds started indoors. We're gonna do it on the cheap. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and we're keeping it very, very easy. Now, if you're a brand new gardener, you are in the right place because this series will give you all the tools you need to know to grow a spring garden all the way from seed to harvest. And if you're a seasoned gardener, stick around because we need you to offer support and tips in the comments, and you're gonna pick up some ideas along the way. So we got a lot of work to do today. Let's jump right in. Growing your own fresh, tasty organic vegetables is so rewarding. But what do most people do when they decide they want to grow a vegetable garden? They wait for the snow to melt, wait for the weather to warm up, then head on down to the garden center and grab some vegetable plants and then plant them outside in the garden. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you start from seed indoors, what you do is you're basically growing your own transplants, which saves you a lot of money. You don't have to purchase them at the garden center. And there's a much wider variety of vegetables available when you grow them from seed than you can buy at the garden center. And besides that, it's just so much fun to plant a seed, nurture it, see it grow, plant it outside, and then harvest it. There's just nothing like that satisfaction. You want to start your seeds indoors about 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date. That way it gives you a head start. They can grow inside while it's too cold to grow them outdoors. Then after your last frost date, when the weather warms up, you're going to plant them outdoors in your garden. Now you might be wondering, how do I know when my last frost date is? There's a frost date calculator you can look up online. Put in your zip code, it'll tell you the average last frost date in your area. Then you just back up and start your seeds about 6 to 8 weeks before that. I started these seeds indoors in our DIY seed starting mix a couple of weeks ago, and I thought I would bring them outside so we can all enjoy some California sunshine together. Now I know a lot of you are growing your spring garden with us, and I thought, how cool would it be if we bring some of you along and see how things are going in your house? So I asked Nisha. A lot of you know her on our live stream. She's our moderator. So let's check in with Nisha and see how it's going for her.
Hi Kim! I'm so excited to join you for the Spring Garden series, and I wanted to share my experience with you. After seeing your video on how to make soil-less seed starting mix, I was inspired to try it myself, and I wanted to share how I did it. So I started with 3 ingredients: coco coir, vermiculite, and worm castings to make the mix. And I was amazed to find that coco coir comes in a brick like this, and it's quite dense. But when you add water to it, it becomes light and fluffy like this. So here I am sowing some seeds in the new mix. I'm gonna press it down. That way. These are peas. It's my first time using the soil-less mix, so I'm hoping I don't have to deal with fungus gnats. They're just impossible to get rid of. I'm looking forward for all these seeds to germinate. I'll keep you posted, Kim. Thanks, bye.
You guys, wasn't that cool? Good job, Nisha. Isn't it fun to see another gardener here following along with us, planting and growing their spring gardens? So stay tuned, you guys. There's gonna be a lot more of that to come in this series. I'm going to share with you 2 different ways you can get your seeds started indoors. Both of them are quick, simple, and inexpensive. Then you can choose which one works best for you. The first way is with containers and soil. Now we're actually going to use our DIY soilless seed starting mix that we made on last week's video. So if you missed that video, go back and watch it so you know exactly how to get yours started, because it's a great way to get your seeds started on the cheap. And this is definitely the most inexpensive way. Now for containers, what I want you to do is just look around your house and see what you have on hand to get your seeds started. A couple of ideas for you are yogurt containers, sour cream containers, anything that you can grab around your house that holds soil. A couple other ideas are, this is a 50/50 container. I just cut the top off, poked little drainage holes in the bottom, so that works really well. There's an almond milk container, the same thing, cut the top off, we'll put the soil in there. Another great idea is to grab these nursery pots from the garden center. A lot of times you can go and ask them and they'll give them to you, or maybe you have some left over from previous years. These are the little seed cells. I'm reusing these from last year. And another really fun one is egg cartons. Now these are fun to just poke holes in the bottom, put the soil in here, and then they do decompose in the ground, so it makes it very, very simple to just plant your seeds, grow them inside, then pop them right in the garden. The most important thing though about containers is that you want to make sure that they have drainage holes, because you don't want your plants getting waterlogged, and if they get too wet, it can cause all kinds of diseases to the plants. So just poke little holes in the bottom with a nail or with a drill, or for example with this egg carton. This is a fun one to do with kids. You can just take a pencil and then just poke your holes right in the bottom. And then you are all good to go to fill it with soil and put the seeds in. Now I'm really loving this soilless seed starting mix. It's nice and light and fluffy, and it really is working well for germinating the seeds quickly. So I want to moisten this up just a little bit. It's a little bit on the dry side. So you always want to make sure your soil is about as moist as crumbly brownie mix. So just pour in a little bit of water and then mix it up so all the soil gets moistened, and that way our seeds have nice moist soil to start out with. You can see how light and fine textured it is, so the seeds don't have any problem busting through. Now because this is a soilless mix, it's really going to help cut down on those fungus gnats that a lot of us have when we start seeds indoors, because those feed on the organic material in compost or soil, and this doesn't have any soil in it. It has worm castings. So that's going to really help control the fungus gnats in the house. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill my containers with soil, kind of all the way to the top, kind of press it down lightly so there's no air pockets. Here we got our half and half container. So it's really fun. It's a great project to do with kids. You can send them on a hunt around the house to find some containers to plant their seeds in. You never know what creative ideas they might come up with. It's always fun to know that you're reusing and repurposing and saving money along the way. So with these 6 packs, what I like to do is fill it up with mix and then kind of thumb pack the soil in just a little bit, just to kind of firm things up, and then kind of level it off at the top. You can see it's really quick to do. It's always fun to get your hands in the soil. We're going to be planting seeds from my spring garden seed collection. It has 13 varieties of basic vegetables to get you started. Keeps it simple, and that way you can do it on the cheap too. Now, first off, we're going to plant some golden crookneck squash. Now, I am a squash lover, and this is a beautiful yellow squash with kind of a crook neck. And I like to plant squash in the taller types of pots here because they grow really, really fast. And that way you can continue to grow it indoors, and you don't have to transplant it again before it's warm enough to get it outside. So they do like these larger size pots. So a general rule of thumb when you're planting seeds is to plant them about 2 times deep as they are wide. So because squash is kind of a larger type of seed, I'm going to poke it down into the soil about a ½ inch or so. And I'm actually going to plant 3 little seeds in this 3-inch pot here. And that way we have a good chance of at least one of them germinating, but most likely all 3 of them will germinate. So I poke that down in the soil there, and you can expect squash seeds to germinate in about 3 to 5 days. They grow really fast, and it's really fun to see them poke through the soil. So what I'm doing now is just spraying the top with water just to get that seed nice and soaked down in there. So you can see how easy this is, you guys. It's so easy to start your seeds indoors and to grow your own transplants. Now the next vegetable I'm going to plant is one of my favorite types of plants. It's so pretty. It's a red burgundy okra. And I know there's a lot of okra lovers out there. It's delicious, and it's also an absolutely beautiful plant. So these seeds are really pretty. They're kind of a round green type of seed, and they also grow very, very fast. The flowers for okra are absolutely beautiful, and a lot of people love frying okra, steaming it, or just eating it raw. So I'm just going to poke this down into the soil here, and I'm going to plant 4 little okra seedlings. This is in a yogurt container, and these again grow very, very fast. I'll just kind of press it down and spray it with water. And can you see all those little coconut husks in the soil there? The soil's made with coconut coir. It's kind of fun to see that. You can see the coconut coir, the vermiculite, and then the worm castings are the black part. Now, another thing that's really important when you're starting your seeds indoors is don't forget to label them, or you'll have no idea what varieties you planted. I've done that myself many times. So I'm just going to stick a label in here. This is the golden crookneck. You might want to write the date on the back so you don't forget when you started them. Here's the okra. And now let's move on to our seed cells. These are really handy because they're all separated out like this. You can easily grow your individual transplants. And like I said, you can recycle these from previous years, pick them up. A lot of times if you ask at garden centers, they're free, or you can grab them online. So in these, I'm gonna get some peppers planted. Now, one of my favorite types of pepper is called the California Wonder Pepper. It's a beautiful, thick-walled red pepper, delicious for grilling. And you can see how tiny these pepper seeds are, so we're not going to plant them near as deep. And I'm going to go ahead and plant 2 pepper seeds in each seed cell. Just going to drop them right on top. I like to spread them apart just a little bit. Whoops, that one got a little bit close together. Now remember, we're not going for perfection here. We just want to have fun and get some seeds started. So if you drop your seeds in too close together or drop a couple extra seeds, don't worry about it. You just want to have a good time while you're doing this. Just feels so good knowing I'm planting my own vegetables, and they're going to be so fresh and tasty. The flavor of homegrown is absolutely out of this world. So these I'm just going to poke down lightly into the soil, cover them up, maybe about 1/8 or so of an inch. And peppers take a little bit longer to germinate, sometimes up to about 2 weeks. And one thing that's helpful when starting peppers from seed is to place your little seed cell on a heat mat. And that just helps bring the temperature of the seed cell up a little bit and helps them germinate faster. Just gonna press those down just a bit. And if you don't have a heat mat, a lot of times people will put them on the dryer, up on top of the refrigerator, just a spot in your house that's a lot warmer. But heat mats really do help speed things up. Now these little labels here I made out of a cut up sour cream container. So again, look around your house, see what you can find, and just do it on the cheap. So I've got my California Wonder Pepper labeled here. And then next we're gonna plant a hot pepper. You gotta have the sweet, you gotta have the hot, right? And this is the Hungarian hot wax. And hot peppers take a little bit longer to germinate even than sweet peppers do. So just be patient, hang in there. It's gonna be worth it when you see those little tiny seedlings poking through the soil. So we're gonna drop 2 little seeds again in each cell. Just love how easy this is, how quick it is. And these peppers are gonna make some nice fire hot salsa. You are gonna love it. Poke these down in here. Lightly cover them up. You can also kind of sprinkle it with soil if you want to, but the seed starting mix is so fine, it makes it really easy just to poke the seeds down into their nice new little home. Got our label, spray them down. And you definitely want to keep the tops of your seed cells moist while they're germinating. And I like to spray it down to keep the soil moist, check on them every day. And then as they germinate, we're going to start watering from the bottom. And we'll cover that in the next video. And I wanted to show you guys these little peppers that just germinated this week. These were planted about 2 weeks ago, and I want to show you how they look when they first pop through the soil. It's always fun when you're checking on your plants daily and you see one of these cute green little seedlings pop through. Next, we're going to plant some red romaine lettuce. It's so much fun to grow your own fresh, tasty salads. The taste is absolutely out of this world. Believe me, you will never buy those bag salads from the grocery store again once you taste your own. So we're gonna plant some lettuce in this 6-pack. And what to do with lettuce is you just sprinkle it lightly over the surface of the soil. Now remember how I said that you plant seeds about 2 times as deep as they are wide? Well, there's always an exception to every rule, and lettuce is the exception to that. Lettuce actually likes light to germinate. It's one of the easiest vegetables that you can start with. You just sprinkle it over the soil and then press it down. You don't even have to cover it up, and you will be amazed at how quickly it germinates. Now you want to time starting your lettuce about 2 weeks before you can get it outside, 2 to 3 weeks, because lettuce is a cool weather vegetable and it's one of the earliest vegetables that you can get outside during the spring, and they outgrow their little indoor seed starting homes pretty quickly. So just plan accordingly. Next is the red Russian kale. Now you guys know what a superfood kale is, and wait till you taste your own. This is red Russian kale. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a little less bitter than some of the other kales that you might have tried, but it's gonna make a great addition to our red romaine lettuce salads. So we're gonna plant these in our egg cartons and just sprinkle a couple of seeds in each little egg cell here. It's gonna be so much fun to watch these sprout and grow. Kale grows incredibly fast, so it's so much fun when you plant with your kids. They can almost see them grow, and they're a beautiful, beautiful little seedling. They love the cool weather, they love the warm weather. Kale is such a hardy plant. Now, because kale is such a small seed and it's dark and it kind of blends in with the soil, instead of poking the kale seeds in, I'm just gonna put a light little sprinkling of soil on top just to cover them up. You don't need much. Then I'm just gonna kind of tamp it down lightly. And don't worry if you get a little bit messy here. That's what gardening's all about, just have fun. Now for one of my favorite crops to grow, and that is basil. You can't have too much basil in your garden. I mean, who doesn't love herbs? It adds such a nice, fresh taste to your pizzas, your spaghetti sauces, your salads. We love it on our scrambled eggs. Look at how teeny tiny those seeds are, but man, these pack a punch. This is the Italian large leaf basil, nice large leaves. And I'm just gonna sprinkle some seeds every inch or so apart here. Again, don't worry if you get too many in the soil. Basil actually likes growing pretty closely together. And we're planting this in our little creamer container here. So that's kind of fun. It's gonna be fun to see basil grow out of a creamer container. And again, because the basil seeds are so tiny, they're hard to see in the soil. I'm just gonna sprinkle them very lightly with a little bit of extra seed starting mix. I tamp it down, spray it. We're getting this down now, aren't we? And then pop our label in. I started these just about 2 weeks ago. They're already germinating and you can already see the little basil leaves growing. Well, I set my containers and soil aside so I can share with you the second way to start seeds indoors, and that is in peat pellets. Now, I've grown and started seeds indoors in peat pellets for years. They're very convenient, great for you if you're a busy person, you don't want to mess with soil in your house. They start off with little compressed discs like this. Then you add water and they expand. And they're great for planting larger sized vegetables in them, like tomatoes, like squash, like cucumbers and peas, vegetables that don't necessarily like their roots disturbed. So when you plant them in the ground, you just peel the little netting off, pop them in the ground, no fuss, no muss. They're very, very simple. So I'm just gonna pour some water over these pellets to hydrate them. This is a great way to have fun while you're starting seeds, because it's a lot of fun to see the pellets expand. They do expand a lot quicker if you pour warm water over them. You can see how they're just soaking up the water and starting to expand a little bit. Just let them sit for 5 minutes or so, and then we'll be ready to plant the seeds. So my peat pellets have expanded. Now I'm gonna just take a pencil and peel apart the netting on the top and just kind of lightly loosen the soil here, so it's all ready to plant the seeds. And the small ones here, I'm gonna plant some lettuce seeds. Lettuce is a great vegetable to plant in the smaller size peat pellets. You should leave it in here for a couple of weeks, grow it inside, and then pop it outdoors in your garden. And these large ones are nice to keep the vegetables growing inside for about 6 to 8 weeks, because then you don't have to transplant them again before it's warm enough to get them out in your garden. They will do just fine. So in the small ones, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and plant some lettuce seeds. This is the Grand Rapids lettuce, and the Grand Rapids lettuce is a beautiful green variety. It's nice and frilly and leafy. It's a darker colored seed than the red romaine. It's always nice to plant a couple different colors of lettuce, and that way you have beautiful salads to eat. So I'm just lightly sprinkling the seeds. And again, don't worry about if you get too many seeds dropped in here. You can always thin it out as you go, and then you have nice little baby lettuce salads. I love how lettuce is just so easy to plant. You just press it down a little bit. It takes just a few minutes. It's super quick, very simple, and you're gonna save a ton of money because you're planting your own. And with the peat pellets in the trays, I usually just kind of pop the label down on the side so I can keep track of what's growing in there. And these are just recycled takeout containers that I'm using for trays for my pellets. I'm always excited to plant tomato seeds in the spring. There's just nothing like the taste of a homegrown tomato. If you've never had one, you are in for a big surprise. They are so delicious. This is the Golden Jubilee tomato, a really beautiful yellow tomato. And yellow tomatoes are very, very sweet. This is a nice big size beefsteak tomato. Great for slicing, great for sandwiches, great for hamburgers, beautiful in salads. It is just so, so tasty. So we're dropping a couple of seeds in each pellet here. And you can see I've got a whole tray of tomato seeds planted in pellets. I really like planting tomato seeds in pellets. They grow very fast that way. And it's just so much fun and so, so easy. You can see I'm just barely poking the tomato seeds down into the soil here, the very small seeds. Just going to spray the top of the pellets, keep them nice and moist. Pop my tag in. You can really start any vegetable seeds in pellets, but I do like to especially plant seeds of vegetables that don't like their roots disturbed, and cucumbers and squash and peas are one of those vegetables. Now here we have little cucumber seedlings already sprouting through the DIY seed starting mix. I just love the look of the seeds popping through the soil. It's always so exciting, and I can't wait for you to experience that too if you've never experienced that. So I'm going to drop 2 little cucumber seeds in each pellet. These are the Market More cucumber. A really nice slicing cucumber, delicious in salads. And we're just going to follow the same method. Poke the little seed down in there, and cucumber seeds you can see are a little bit larger, so I'm going to get a little bit more soil covering them. If you want to, you can make a little hole with your pencil first before you drop your seed in. It might make it a little bit easier. Press it down in there. Again, not an exact science. The goal is to have a good time. If you make a mistake, no big deal. You can always start over. And we always learn so much from our mistakes, don't we? We've got our seeds started. Wasn't that fun? It was so easy, and I'm really happy to have our spring garden started together. We've got our cups with soil, our peat pellets. Now you might be wondering, what do I do with these? Well, it's really important that your plants get light. You definitely want them to have direct overhead light so they grow nice and strong and healthy and grow you a lot of vegetables. Now, what a lot of gardeners will do is put their seed trays in a sunny window. And what I found is that sunny windows often just don't give your plants enough direct overhead light to help them grow nice and strong and healthy. So you definitely need to get some grow light set up, but don't be scared by that. It's really not that tough. Now, one grow light method that's very easy is the grow light box. Very inexpensive, easy for a beginner to get set up. I've grown in this grow light box here for years, and I have to thank Gary over at the Rustic Garden YouTube channel for this idea. What it basically is a storage tub with a lid. The lid has a hole cut in the top, and then there's a little clamp light that's stuck through the lid with a special grow light bulb. Now, you don't just want to use a regular light bulb from your lamp. You want to use a light bulb specifically that's designed for growing plants. And what you do is you just put your trays of vegetables in here. And this is a great setup for a small amount of seed cells or seed trays. You put your seed tray in here, and you always want to make sure that your tray is no more than 2 to 3 inches away from the light. So you just put your lid on, kind of keeps the heat in there, keeps your seeds contained away from your kids or from your pets that might get into it. Then you want to leave your light on for 18 hours a day and off for 6 hours a day. So it gets the nice, bright, intense light that it needs to grow your plants to be nice and strong and healthy vegetables. Now, I have a great video on 4 easy grow light setups that gives you some options. So you want to go and watch that video and then pick the method that works best for you. It's been a ton of fun to hang out with you in the garden today, get our seeds started indoors in 2 really quick, simple, inexpensive ways. I want to invite you to grow along with me this spring on the Spring Garden series. Grab one of my spring garden seed collections over at CallieKimGardenandHome.com. And also, you're going to want to grab a copy of my book, Organic Gardening for Everyone. Everything we covered today is in chapter 3. And you can save $5 when you purchase the seed book bundle over at CallieKimGardeningHome.com. And make sure you subscribe. We have plenty of videos left to come in this series. Next week's video is going to be how to water and fertilize your seedlings, and you definitely don't want to miss that. Comment below, let me know if you're growing along with me, what you're excited to grow in your own garden this spring. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.